Hey there, I'm out walking. It is so hot. I need to do this more. I used to do this 8 miles a day. I gotta do better. I'm doing like 3 miles. So anyway, that explains part of why I'm fat. Okay. So this deal with my mom, it is just freaking crazy. But truthfully, I have been, I've always said I've been the goat in her cattle pen. So like, if you know what that means, like when cattle are restless, they'll put a goat in the pen with them, and it kind of calms them down. And that's always kind of been my role. And so, and I was telling that police officer that I came up to the house the other day, like when you're a little kid, having a schizophrenic parent is just all kinds of fun. Like they're the fun parent. But being the, adult in the situation is not so fun. And, I have just, if you've seen us together, I've just always kind of kept her steady in conversation and in life and all sorts of things till about 3 or 4 years ago. And I just, got fed up with it. And this is the result of that. This would have happened when I was 11 years old if I hadn't been taking care of everything then. So this is not a new thing. This is not dementia. And she's been to every neurologist in 2 states. It's definitely not dementia. But I do wonder. I do wonder, and this ticks a lot of people off probably, but there's a lot of truth to it. So that's probably why. Anger is the energy that evokes action. Action is the energy that evokes change. So if you're mad, you're going places. So to everybody who gets mad about this, there you go. But I have wondered, we've been in retail for so many years, the wholesale end of retail, and much of our business has been in the South and Southeast, not all of it, New England and the Midwest too, but the vast majority of it in the South and Southeast, because basically our business is where we travel and I can get avocados. So if it's a place I can get avocados, that's kind of where we go. Sad but true. But so I have, and this is also the Bible Belt. So this is the Southern Baptist Protestant Bible Belt. So this is the culture. And people a lot of times think, Americans either don't have a culture or we have a very homogenized culture, like it's the same everywhere. It is not. You cross the state line, you're in a different world. But also I have learned over the years that culture is driven a lot by churches. So the Southern Baptist Church, Southern Baptist Convention is in all of these areas too. And I'm not a religious person. I believe very much in God, but like I'm not too into doctrine of any kind. I'm not. I'm more on the observer end, I guess. So I think I'm critical of a lot of things, and I'm observant of a lot of things, and I don't know. But but my mother did grow up in the Baptist church, but I do, I have questioned this a lot. If you're somebody who's talked to me in depth very much, this. Like, I have often wondered, like, how much of mental illness is mental illness, and how much of it is actually driven by the culture. And with women in retail, we all know. I mean, retail is a crazy world, but there's a reason for it. But we go through these peaks and dives in retail with the economy. When everything's going great, people have plenty of money, they're spending money, a lot of single women in this business. Then suddenly the economy gets bad, they're all moving in with a boyfriend, they're all getting married. Then the economy gets good again, everybody's breaking up, getting divorced. Like, it's, there's a rhythm to it in that regard. And I don't know. I wonder about a lot of things, I guess. But, with my mother, I know there's a lot of mental illness at the core of it, but I also wonder how much of it is just culturally driven, and how much of it is she is someone, and I see this a lot in these regions, who just does not believe that she should have to have any responsibility for her own life. She shouldn't have to work a full-time job. She shouldn't have to pay her bills. She shouldn't have to, when I was 11, she put me on the bank account. It was my job to pay the utilities and the bills and stuff. Buy the groceries, things 11-year-olds as a rule don't do. And she's the last few years we were on the road, she would spend a half hour in front of every gas station door, just lingering around, you know, batting her eyes, trying to get men to open the door for her instead of get in the fucking car and go to work. And you know, and talking about how if she raised these boys, they would, you know, they would follow her around and open doors all day and stuff. And you know, so then you question yourself, is this the culture, or is this, like, you know, part of a histrionic personality disorder? Could be either one. And then if you've lived, you know, in Texas, we all had those grandmas in Texas that, you know, in the 60s when oil was booming, they all had a histrionic personality disorder. They were buying the $100 Neiman Marcus cookies and had garages full of very expensive clothes. And so, you know, I do wonder how much of this is really just cultural. And yeah, I say this all the time. When we moved back to Texas when I was 11, my parents just became very different people, but I think they became the people they were at their core. And that is very immature, entitled, self-serving on both ends. You know, just they wanted to go back to being irresponsible teenagers when they were 40 years old, and they've spent a lifetime doing it. So, you know, and as far as me holding the ball, I'm sick of it. You know, I just don't want to do it. I don't want her power of attorney. I don't want, you know, her to be a dog on my leash. I don't want to do it. You know, I want a grown-up in the situation. I want somewhere in my life for there to be an adult. I want my parents to be adults and, you know, be civilized, decent human beings and pay their bills and, you know, do whatever. And you know, and just the people in my periphery. I'm sick of carrying the ball for everybody. I'm sick of customers calling me up saying, I need jewelry, but I don't have any money. Well, of course you don't. You know, I mean, I'm sick of the whole thing. You know, I'm ready for some big changes. And, you know, my mother, she's not going to be a responsible person. And I do just really honestly wonder how much of it is she is just batshit crazy, and how much of it is she is just determined to be an irresponsible adult and just consciously making a choice to do that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not real impressed with either one of my parents. So, and I just, you know, that just is what it is. So I don't know. But as far as the you know, she's a hot potato. The whole family has passed her around since she was probably in her 20s or teens. And you know, she landed back in my lap again because I needed help. And, you know, now here I am trying to get rid of her again. So I don't know. Somebody somewhere has got to pull their own weight, because this, you know, is just, nobody can live with this. This is nuts.